Welcome to the Two-Ton Nerds. As always, my name is Max James, and it's day 12 of the 31 Days of Fright horror movie project, year 2. And I have decided to break format and do a podcast so I can convey my thoughts clear and to the point, because most of the time, I will admit, I am very disorganized when trying to explain, let's just say, the plot of a movie without writing it out. So in this podcast, I will be talking about one of my favorite movies to watch around Halloween, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. There are many things that come to mind when the month of October finally rolls on the calendar. Scary movies, going house to house trick-or-treating, dressing up as one of your favorite horror icons. The list just goes on. As for me and a handful of my closest friends, Rocky Horror is much more. I included Rocky Horror on this year's list for a few good reasons. It proves that movies that you watch during the month of October doesn't need the ridiculous amounts of blood, the graphic nudity, the scares that prevent you from having a good time and a decent night's sleep, and the sex scenes that you have to mute so no one in the next room can figure out what you're watching. Rocky Horror is a staple of Halloween tradition. But before I get too in-depth, I do have to explain the movie for those Rocky Horror virgins. The movie follows Brad and Janet, our newly engaged couple, on their way home from the wedding when a tire goes flat, forcing our couple into the rain and backtracking to a castle they passed a few miles back. When finally at the castle, they learn it's a very important night for the Dr. Frankenfurter, played by Tim Curry, where he plans to make a monster by the name of Rocky. Now, I must warn you, for those who have not seen this movie, this film is a musical, so please do not, and I stress this, please do not be turned away, because this movie is just more than a musical. It's an experience. The Rocky Horror Experience is exactly how it sounds. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is the longest running movie in film history, with a distinct honor of a cult following, and created through this, the Rocky Horror Experience is born. The explanation regarding how to convey what goes on in a Rocky Horror viewing is to go to have fun. And remember, it's not your normal run-of-the-mill movie-going experience either. Once seated in the theater, looking around, waiting for the movie to start, it's the calm before the storm. You will start to look at the other patrons dressed up as characters from the movie, wearing very little clothing, and there will be some that you wish had more on, or less, carrying toilet paper, squirt guns, and even slices of bread. And that's what I was doing on my first viewing experience, just watching everybody. But once the lights fade to black, and a few notes played on the piano, the theater goes wild, and from there, just hold on. Or, if you know how to do the time warp, jump up and dance, and I promise you, you won't be alone. As the movie progresses, you will be prompted by dialogue to yell things at the screen. Prime example is when the names of Brad and Janet are said, you yell asshole and slut. And when Dr. Frankenfurter snaps his rubber gloves, a nice collective snap comes from the audience. Or a sea of toilet paper fills the air in your lap, or just a small amount of things that go on during this movie. I have seen this movie live 3 times, and I love the experience every single time, because there's always something new to see and hear. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is filled with music that can be thought-provoking and have a little bit of a dirty mind as well. If you can get past the man dressed like a transvestite, a muscle-bound monster wearing nothing but a golden Speedo, or people singing about how Janet's apple pie doesn't taste too nice, and it is as dirty as you think, then you will enjoy it. And I know, and I completely understand, it isn't for everybody, but it needs to be experienced at least once. My name is Max James, and I'm going to go geek out.